Hey, what's going on everybody, and welcome back to the Whiskey Cove. And on today's episode, we take a look at my top 5 ryes for 2024. Run the video. Hey, what is going on? And welcome back to a very special edition of the Whiskey Cove, where we will be looking at my top 5 ryes for 2024. In the future, you're also going to see my top 5 bourbon, so definitely keep an eye out for that. I don't really think there's a need to go in for anything else. However, top 5 ryes and top 5 bourbons just about tick all the boxes, in my opinion. With that being said, we have 5 awesome whiskeys coming your way. And number 5 is a whiskey that I have in my glass. So Rye whiskey, what do we know about rye? Well, we know it has to be at least 51% rye in the mash bill, which all of these are. So let's talk about from number 5, and that is going to be, and I said I wasn't going to go to buy it this year, but I found it for a good price and I bought it. I'm very happy that I did, because that is Old Faithful High West Midwinter Night's Dram. I am in an absolute love-hate relationship with this bottle of whiskey. Every year the price goes up, every year the quality can sometimes go up and down. However, I think that they stepped it back a little bit for number 12. It brings more of the port through, but not only does it have more port, it has a really nice sweeter backbone. In times like, I'm thinking 10, we had a really nice, rich, kind of creamy rye sweetness there, but we didn't really have much of the port. And then 11 seemed to have more port, but there was a little bit more youthful. And I feel that they were able to combine Act 11 and 10, and this is what they came up with. It's very berry forward, very enticing, very creamy, very raisins, dates. It is fall and Christmas in a glass. It is quintessential. It's beautiful. It's so easy to drink. No burn. There's a little bit of like a rolled rye note there. A little bit of a like a rye tang, I guess, if you like, and so really nice wood presence throughout. The only thing I don't like about this bottle is the price. So MSRP from the distillery, I think, is $130. Mostly in Alberta State, you're going to be paying $150. I was able to find it for $129.99, the same price as last year in Colorado. So I went ahead and bought it, and like I said, I'm very happy that I bought it, because I generally buy 1 a year, sometimes more if it's really good. I have a few Act 9s, I have an Act 8. I have a 7. That's as far back as my collection goes. However, I wouldn't buy the 10. 11 was good, like I said, but it was missing some key components. However, I felt like they brought it back with Act 12. This is the Act 12 scene 4. I don't think it generally makes a difference between the scenes. They just call them a few different scenes in terms of the run and the blend. So yes, a little pricey, but is it good? If you're looking for a bottle to maybe splurge a little bit once a year, where you maybe break the $100 budget, and you're a big fan of ryes and you're a big fan of port finish whiskey, then I think that's okay to do it. Hopefully next year they equal this whiskey or make it a little bit better, and please don't put the price up high, West. Please don't, not anymore, or should I say Constellation. So we'll drink through this even further as we enjoy the rest of this list here. So next up, and this is a whiskey coming from the Jack Daniel's distillery. So number 4 on this list is going to be Jack Daniel's Twice Barreled Rye. As you can see, this is the Distillery Series bottle, but I've tried the square Twice Barreled Rye as well, and it's very similar, if not exactly the same stuff. I think they just did a run of it first. Beautiful whiskey, excellent bottle. I think that it definitely has more barrel char, more tannins coming through there. That can balance out some of the sweeter notes of the Jack Daniel's rye. I think it does a good job of really coming together and kind of creating that really well-rounded rye. This potentially could have been higher up on my list. However, there was a few other bottles here tonight that you'll see that were very good. If you're able to get the regular full-size barrel, twice barreled rye, it's going to run about $80, $90, $100. Obviously, that price is going to be very substantially by retailer and location. I actually got this bottle when I was down in the Jack Daniel's distillery about 3-4 months ago. As we were driving through, they had this one, and they had the rye or bourbon finish on añejo barrels. And this was a previous rye that they've done before, but for whatever reason, they had a few bottles left over, and they put it out, and the guy who was there said, "Oh, look, we have this." And I was looking for the square bottles for a while, so happy that we were able to find this, and that's why this bottle comes in at number 4 on this list. What you got to pay for that? I think I paid around $60 for that. Like I said, you're probably going to be paying around $100 or so for the full-size one. Next up, and third on this list, Doc Swinson's Bottled in Bond. This is the only bottled in bond whiskey, I believe, that we have on this list. It's a great bottle of whiskey. It is a sourced whiskey. Doc Swinson's is a distillery. I say it's a distillery. I don't think they distill in their own stuff. However, they are a part of they're basically a passion project for a contract distillery in Washington. They make like a lot of clear spirits. They wanted to do a little bit of some other whiskey on the side, and they branched off a little bit and created the brand Doc Swinson's. And Doc Swinson's really like to source a lot of their stuff from MGP, some places in Kentucky and all over. They're really well known for their finish. I've got one recently, which was a rye finished in Amburana and rum barrels, and they just have a bunch of really great stuff. If you don't know about Doc Swinson's already, they're very similar to what Rye West used to be like when they used to almost solely source from MGP. This is a 7-year age-stated bottled in bond whiskey. Obviously, it being from one distillery over one distilling season. This was the spring of 2016, and this was bottle number 7,270. This only cost me $60. This is distilled in Indiana, MGP Lawrenceburg. I really like Doc Swinson's, how just open they are about it. They got nothing to hide. They do a really great job of sourcing, and they do a really great job of blending and finishing. So if you're good at that other stuff, then why do you need to kind of hide where you get the distiller from? So I was really happy that I was able to get this, and like I said, for $60, probably one of the better bottled in bond whiskey on the market. And as you can see, I've been drinking through it quite a lot. I had this towards the beginning of the year, so maybe you haven't seen me talk a little bit about it on the channel for a while, but we did a Doc Swinson's taste through right at the beginning of the year. So very happy I was able to get that for $60, and number 3 on this list. I should tell you just how good that bottle is. Need to drink some more Rye West Midwinter Nice Dram here. 2 left, let's get into them. So, this was a bottle of whiskey that I had no idea was gonna make it on this list. And when I did a review, it was good. I didn't blow my socks off completely, but as I've been going back to it, it's opened up into this like incredible butterfly almost. It's walking up out of this cocoon, spread its wings and it's starting to fly. Maybe sometimes that tells you a little bit about whiskey, right? And it's really hard when we do reviews here in the Whiskey Cove. Sometimes we just want to get the review out as soon as we can, because I know you people at home are looking to see these reviews. But generally, bottles of whiskeys need a little bit of time, and this bottle was definitely in that category. So number 2, Rye Whiskey of the Year, that is Knob Creek 10-year Rye. So this was a bottle I didn't know was coming out at the start of the year, and then as we were doing the whiskeys and bourbons to look out for, this was a bottle that we talked about. This has a lot of things going for it. The ABV, the proof, the age statement, the price is fantastic. So this is 50% ABV or 100 proof, which is really what I like a lot of my ryes to be at. Quite versatile at that ABV and proof. You can put it in a cocktail, you can really have some fun with them. Aged 10 years, you really don't see like ryes being aged for that long. 7 years, and I think a 6-year age statement is perfect for rye. Heck, even Willet 4-year is a 4-year rye, and you'd never know it is the kind of that young. So for a 10-year rye coming on the market for around $65 to $70, that's pretty crazy value for money, and it definitely stacks up to that as well. It doesn't drink as sweet as kind of like something from the bottled in bond from Doc Swinson's or the Jack Daniels. It doesn't drink as sweet as that. It's very much more balanced. If you're someone who's almost like a true rye drinker's rye, that you like it to have more rye spice, I think this delivers. And I think that coupled with the age, you get a little more of that oak, really kind of blends away from the sweetness. But what I really like about this bottle is that the more and more you let it sit in the glass, I don't know if it's just maybe some ethanol burns off a little bit, but it does get a bit of a creaminess that does come back there. So when you drink and it finishes out, it's not super dry, it's not blowing your palate and like tannins everywhere. It kind of finishes really nice and subtle. Great bottle. I really enjoyed this in a Manhattan as well. I've had 1 or 2 Manhattans with this, and if I'm saying any whiskey on this list or rye that's best in cocktails, definitely this one. I think this just stacks up. And like I said, $65, a 10-year age-stated rye. It's great value for money and deservingly of number 2 on this list. So that leaves 1 bottle, and there could only really be 1 bottle of whiskey that could win rye of the year for this year. You could think that we could be talking about some crazy unicorn. I didn't really want to put unicorns on this list. Maybe that needs to be a separate video. And I've had the luxury of trying some unicorns this year, but I wanted to do realistic things that you and me will be able to find. So, like I said, not anything too crazy, something you'll probably find in most stores right about now. It can vary because it is a single barrel, and that is, of course, Jack Daniel's barrel proof rye, bought and released this year, and it has been the talk of the rye town for a very long time. They first initially introduced this, I believe, into the market in some variation. It was either 2020 or 2021, and people just loved it from the beginning. They brought it back, they rebranded it as back into this container, back with this label, so then we know that it's not going anywhere. This is a product that is going to stay around. If you don't have it at your store right now, I'm sure it will be coming soon, like the Tennessee whiskey. This one is coming in at 64.5% ABV or 129 proof. So when I said that I don't particularly want my rye to have too much ABV or too much proof, that's generally true. Every one of these before were right around the 50% ABV or 100 proof mark. However, not with this one. This is 130 proof or 65% ABV. And Jack Daniel's tend to do something really well as a distillery. They're able to put out distillate whiskey that is high proof, but is so very sweet. That's not always the case. It definitely has some of that like nutty banana runts, caramel sauce in it, much like a lot of what I get from Jack Daniel's products. But then it really brings it home with some of that darker, richer notes, kind of like the walnutty, mapley, kind of charred note. If someone told me this was the twice barreled rye, I'd kind of believe you. And I think that's what you get from the higher ABV. It's beautiful, and like, I'm nosing and there's just no proof coming off there. You drink this, it's very sweet. It's you have to be careful with it because it's easy to drink too much. Very great bottle of whiskey, and it's going to set you back around $65, which in today's market is pure craziness. So, rye of the year, #1 spot was the Jack Daniel's barrel proof single barrel. Yes, it is a single barrel. Like I said, there will be some variations, but for the ones I've tried, they are very good. So these are my top 5 ryes of the year, and be on the lookout for the next 10 days or so and you will see my top 5 bourbons. Thank you so much for watching, everybody. I really appreciate that. Merry Christmas and have a fantastic new year. Cheers.